There we go, and welcome to Morning Coffee Rants with Dan. I am the spiritual anarchist, Dan, your host. Today is Thursday, May 14th, in the year of all of us, 2026, and it's my birthday. I am officially a senior citizen today. It feels weird. Some weird stuff's happening. I wasn't on the air last week. I had a little bit of light traveling to do. I had gotten off of probation. I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. And some other things that I'm seeing. So I'm going to start off today by saying this chapter is closed. The truth is intact. And whatever comes next is their karma, and it's not my concern. See, what I'm going to be talking about today is lies. And I'm not as concerned about the liars. See, this is where I want to start today. Not with politics, not with headlines. It's the same old, man. That's not changing. It's the same freak clown show that we've been seeing for many years now. But I want to start with something that's real human, okay? Recently, I had to sit with a situation involving my stepson. I had evidence, I had the truth, and I had every reason to go public with some of it after a year of being unable to speak about it. And for a moment, I wanted to, not out of necessity, but out of my own ego. Out of the very human desire to set the record straight. But the longer I sat with it, the clearer it became. The impulse wasn't coming from my own space of truth. It was coming from a part of me that wanted to egoically win or be right in a situation where I don't need to be. Okay, and then as I was thinking about this, the bigger picture of how this fits into what's going on in the macrocosm of the world, what we're seeing in our own country, it hit me. And that is, the real danger in our culture isn't from the people who lie, which is all of mainstream news media and all politicians. It isn't from them. It's not from the people who lie. It's how ready other people, the vast majority of the other people, are ready to believe whatever confirms their already held biases. They don't want to admit they've been fooled or bamboozled. When politicians, people who specialize in psychology and psyops, people in politics, car salesmen even, their job is to sell you. They want to make the sell. Their job is to be charismatic, okay? Ted Bundy was said to not only be a very handsome guy, according to women, but he was also highly, highly charismatic and very convincing. The people I'm talking about are only one step below him. He's demented enough to do the murdering himself. These other people are that demented, but they get other people to do it for them. And the problem I have isn't with the cowards who are liars, because usually when they get held to the flame, they wither very quickly. They are, in fact, cowards. But my problem is with the vast majority of the people who are too busy to even care about the truth, or get so easily fooled by the truth that even when they know they've been lied to and fooled, they don't want to admit it. They go into cognizant dissonance and distractions. So again, the real danger in our culture isn't the liars. It's the people who are so ready and willing to accept the lies they're told. Blatant lies. And I'm not talking about from a year and a half ago's political ramblings and promises to what's actually happening now. I'm talking about from the beginning of a week to the end of the week from these people. And constantly pointing out the lies and contradictions does absolutely nothing. Instead, what part of us as a society is so sick that we believe these lies and don't care to look at the deeper truths of what's going on? You know, what I'm talking about is whether it's personal drama, social media drama, or political drama, the pattern is the same. A lie only has power when someone needs it to be true. And we are living in a time where people don't just fall for lies, they shop for them. They look for the version of reality that flatters their worldview, their tribe, their identity, political identity or other, and something that will help fuel their outrage. Because if they're offended and outraged, they're the ones who are right. Remember, we've had a whole generation and a half of school kids who've been taught to go to an external source to solve their problems for them and point the finger and be more of the victim to get the person in charge, the authority, to side with them. All of society today has been rigged around that, instead of letting them take care of it themselves, instead of whoever started the problem or threw the first punch is the one who's wrong. So those kids, some of them became cops. They're used to being the one in charge. They get to be the one to decide who's going to be, they're going to have people appealing to their authority and they're going to make the decision on this, that, and the other thing. Or you've got the other people who are manipulating, passive-aggressive, for lack of a better term, bitches. We've got a country of Homer Simpsons that they've created on purpose in this country to weaken us. It's not only a war on women, it's a war on masculinity. They don't want men capable of standing up, speaking up. They want order followers to be automatons that instantly follow whatever orders they're given, regardless of the morality of those orders. That's why I got out of that job. So, it's not really the liar who shapes the culture. Okay? Because it's a very small amount of people who do this big lying. It's the audience that wants to be lied to. And that's why I'm more concerned with the willingness to believe political lies than I am with the people who merely point them out. Because on both sides, you're absolutely 100% correct. Good job. Now what? Keep voting? See, once a person decides they prefer the comfort of a narrative over the discomfort of truth, it doesn't matter what evidence you show them. They're already sold and gone on what they want to be true. So today's show isn't about parties and candidates or elections. It's about psychology. It's about human nature. It's about why truth has become optional and why lies have become inner fucking tainment. I'll say it again because it applies everywhere. The record is clear. My conscience is clean. His path is his own from here on out. If only more people would approach politics and life with that level of clarity, we'd have a very different culture. If we had a base level knowledge, a foundational level knowledge of karmic law, natural law, moral law, what is objectively moral and what is objectively not moral, we wouldn't be at war right now. So I made a Facebook post. After my year-long probation, I had a self-defense situation involving my stepson. I'm not naming him. I didn't name him in the post. But if he thinks I wasn't going to speak up afterwards and say something, he's sadly mistaken, and so is anyone else who thinks I was lying or guilty about anything, because I wasn't. So I'm going to start this little post that I made on Facebook. I'm going to read it verbatim, and I quote, "So, As I was sitting here looking at evidence, videos, audios, and texts of my stepson threatening his ex, electronically stalking her, and physically abusing her, along with browbeating his mother over threatening to harm his sister, I was tempted to go public with all the videos and audios to set the record straight, because I could not talk about him or it while on probation, and I knew he lied a lot. But here is the thing. The longer I sat with it, the more I realized it was coming from my ego. He no longer lives where my daughters are at. He is no longer a threat to them or me at this time. His life is his karma, and I know he has more karma coming. And you know what? So does he. I am glad I practiced the pause on this. Basically, I'm glad I practiced the pause because I didn't throw all that information out there. It didn't need to be put out there. There would be nothing wrong with me putting the truth out there in all of its details, but I didn't like that it was coming from my ego space instead of necessity. I taught him about karmic law. I'll let him find out the hard way. As far as anyone he may have lied to, because let's face it, he's my stepson. We had mutual friends, quite a few. As far as anyone he may have lied to, if you believed him, you never knew me. This will be all I post about it. He took what I taught him about interpersonal communications and martial arts, and instead of using it to motivate and protect people, he used it to be a manipulating, lying bully. He tried to bully me and was reminded the hard way that I'm not a woman. I went on to write, I hope he heals, gets help, but I don't think he will as long as he's abusing drugs and alcohol to the extent in which he does. Below is a skewed video, still image of him where he was threatening his ex. And I posted an image of that. That way nobody could see what he looks like. I didn't say his name. Only the people who know us both know who I'm talking about. And he opened his mouth and lied to a bunch of people, and I'm addressing it now. This will be all I say about it to any mutual friends of ours that he ran his mouth to. He has lied to everyone. Feel free to call me if you feel the need. But it is not necessary. I assure you it is a small matter. So the reason I did this and put this out there, because it's what a man does. And you do it without disdain, without resentment, without dragging a person's name through the mud, because there's still hope for him. Regardless if he turns into a saint, he's out of my life forever. I'll make sure to that. I've forgiven him, but I won't forget. And that's my right. But I'm not going to drag his name through the mud. He still has a chance to make something of his life if he can look in the mirror and admit where he was wrong and rise from darkness. I had to do it once. In a different kind of way. I wasn't victimizing anybody like he has done continually. I didn't want to put texts out there. I didn't want to put videos and audios out there. No one needs to see that. They just need to know that he was lying. And the people that know his temper and know my compassion probably don't have to be told that. So what I just did was, it came from the posture of somebody who's already stepped out of that karmic battlefield and into my own sovereignty. So I'm going to reflect this back to you in 7 points. And I'm going to get through them rather quickly because I got other things I want to talk about, but they all come back to what we see in the world. I teach from my own life experiences. I told the truth. Number one, I told the truth without weaponizing it. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, that's strength. I just laid out facts. I have the evidence. I could have exposed him. Some might say, hey, what are you doing now? I'm not. Believe me. Okay? I was tempted to at least do that to set the record straight, but I decided to set it straight in a less conflicting way, in a less, infuriating, resentful kind of way. Instead, I hope he heals. I didn't act for anger. I didn't act from a space of anger or humiliation or a desire to win. I acted from clarity. That's the difference between a person who is still in the fight and someone who's already outgrown the fight. I'm putting this behind me. I also did this without suppressing the truth. I simply refused to use it as a weapon or a sword. Okay? To me, that is what sovereignty and maturity is. I recognize the difference between necessity and ego. I recognized my ego. And I also recognized the necessity. I kind of came to a middle ground in doing it in a way where I'm not naming him. I didn't show who he was, but anyone he lied to who knows us will get the truth straight from my mouth. Without going into detail. They don't need it. It's none of their business. If he hadn't publicly lied on me, I wouldn't even be saying this, and this will be the last I speak of it. I don't think he's innately an evil person. He has a defensive narcissistic disorder. He's become a little bit demented and definitely sociopathic, but he can heal from it. I know he feels guilt, shame, and all the other things that people do. He just won't admit it. It's wrong to bully on people, men or women. It's wrong to hit women. That's not being a man. I'm old now. I'm 55 years old officially. I'm a senior citizen. This only happened a year and a half ago. Not even a year and a half ago, actually. He tried to bully on me now that I'm old. It didn't work out for him. Anyway. So I saw that I had come to a point where some people just don't want to reach with this type of thing. They want to keep it going. And I made it clear. He's not near my daughters. He's not a threat to me. The situation is no longer active, at least on my part. The impulse to expose him was coming from ego, not protection. And that's the exact moment where most people don't pause, and I did. There's no reason to expose this. I hope he heals. The whole world needs to heal. We wouldn't be believing the lies of the politicians. This is just the small microcosm of what's going on in the macrocosm, and that's what I'm going to tie it back into, is the people who manipulate and lie aren't the problem as much as it is the problem of everyone who goes into a state of cognizant dissonance, Stockholm syndrome, and the Dunning-Kruger effect, all of it. Look it up what all that means. And they believe the lies. So although I didn't want to expose him, I also didn't excuse him, which is basically what I did in that post and what I'm kind of doing now. I simply stopped carrying him. I'm not going to be a mat for someone to walk on, nor am I going to excuse bad behavior and kind of empower it along the way. Okay, I'm not going to do that. All I did was name the behavior. Manipulation and bullying. Substance-driven instability. And I don't care what substance people use. What you put in your body is your business, man. But when you don't give your mind a break and there's no balance in it, you get a little pickled, especially from the alcohol. But when you got all these other drugs that are involved too, it's not good. You got to lay off of them. I name these things. Violence towards women, violence period, violence in speaking. People can speak violence. Way before violence even occurs, they're speaking the violence. Okay, stalking and emotional abuse. Using what I taught him in the wrong way. So I didn't sugarcoat it. I didn't minimalize it. I didn't pretend it wasn't real. But I didn't chain myself to it. His life, his karma. And that's not avoidance, that's alignment. And I hope he heals and seeks help. Believe me, when you have the courage to go do something and seek help, you're more of a man than somebody who doesn't. So I made a clean boundary without theatrics. And I posted it exactly 1 week after I got off probation. I'm not going to even go into all the whys of why I did what I did and took the plea deal that I took, but I was under duress and I took it. I had other things happening and there was other things going on. So what my post actually essentially said was, I'm done. I'm not hiding anything. I'm not retaliating. If you believed his lies, you never knew me. This is the last time I'll speak about it. Okay, that's not a threat, that's not a plea, and that's not a performance, that's closure. for me. I forgive him literally because I'm not carrying it forward, and I hope he heals. Okay, I didn't humiliate him. I didn't put his face out there. I didn't put his name out there. Anybody who knows us both, who he's lied to, I'm setting the record straight for. That's it. Okay, I did not do anything wrong. I just simply refused to be his victim. Okay, he tried to bully me again, and he was reminded the hard way that I'm not a woman. And that's not bragging, that's not violence, that's context. It's the truth of what happened. He pushed and he found out. I didn't escalate. I didn't retaliate. I defended myself and walked away. That's what men are supposed to do. Okay, number 6. I'm getting close to the end of this. I only have 7 points. I even left the door open for his healing without enabling him. That's the main thing. I'm not going to enable his kind of behavior without calling it. I said I hope he heals, gets help. But I don't think he will, as long as he's abusing drugs and alcohol to that extent. Okay, that's compassion without delusion. I didn't curse him. I didn't wish him harm. But I also didn't pretend he's fine. He's got karma to pay for lying to 2 different women. He's already paying it, and I have prayed for him. And this is a balanced stance. And what I posted is the final word, and it reads like one. It's grounded and factual. It's emotionally clean. It's not vindictive. It's not defensive. And it's not attention-seeking. It's a man saying, I'm done carrying this. This chapter is closed. The truth is intact. And whatever comes next is not my karma or my concern. I've said what needed to be saying. I'm done carrying it. The record is clear. My conscience is clean. Now, this brings me to the bigger point in all this. The part that really actually matters. That personal situation is just a micro example of something we're all watching happen on a national scale. Because the truth is this. Lies don't spread because liars are powerful. Lies spread because audiences are willing. And once people decide they prefer a comforting story over an uncomfortable fact, it doesn't matter who's talking. They'll believe anything that flatters their worldview. Anything that will help advocate any personal responsibility. That's why political lies land so easily today, especially when they come from the polished, insulated class. Okay? The insulated class. The Epstein class. The ruling class. Because we don't have leaders, they're rulers. See, leaders, I've said this over and over again, leaders are teachers. They don't want to rule nothing. When was the last time you learned something from any politician in your entire life? I dare say the last politician or president we learned something from was Kennedy, and look what happened to him. Let me take a sip of my coffee before I start really ranting. So it's that class of people who have never had to live one day like the rest of us. They don't have to be honest. They just have to tell people what those people want to hear. And as long as voters keep rewarding that performance instead of the truth, the performance will continue. All we have is street theater, political theater. What is broken in people today that allows them to so easily accept this and jump on board like team sports? These are the questions we need to ask ourselves. Are we not healed enough? Are we too steeped in our own contradictive thought processes within our own belief systems that we can't discern truth from deception? I'm not talking about white lies. No, your pants don't look big in that, honey. Oh, I love the haircut. Maybe you kind of don't. But it's not bad. You're not going to be brutally honest because it is a subjective opinion. and you don't want to hurt someone's feelings. I'm not talking about those type of little small deceptions, or fooling your 3-year-old into having a hard-boiled egg and an avocado for breakfast instead of a cupcake. I'm not talking about those deceptions. I'm talking about the ones who diminish a person, who hurt a person. And in the case of politicians, who hurt the entire public. And it doesn't matter what variant is up there. It's all one variant. It's the government, folks. All the governments of the world 6 years ago worked in tandem to put diapers on our face and lock us all down. It isn't one side does this or the other side does that. They understand cause and effect, and they know what type of cause to start to get the effect they want. They're on the same side, man. So the message is really simple about this. Stop worrying about the liars and start worrying about why so many people are eager to be lied to. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. I won't even get into singing. That's terrible. I'll probably get taken off the radio for sure. They'd probably rather have me using profanity than doing that. But anyway, that's where the real danger is. Okay? And that's where the real work begins. A society that won't reconcile its own contradictions will always choose the lie that hurts the least. People accept political lies for the same reason they accept personal ones. It's easier than facing the truth that they've avoided. You have to look in the mirror. And look in the mirror and stare at yourself and ask, how can you become a better person? And what is wrong with any given situation that you can control, and what can't you control? And look at yourself and answer yourself. That's where you're going to find your strength. That's within the locus of your control. And until a person aligns with natural law inside of themselves, they'll keep mistaking comforting illusions for the truth. But the truth is the truth. It is what has occurred. Don't listen to the words of these people. Look at their actions. These politicians, world leaders, are having meetings with each other to decide how they're going to go about getting their freak show war on next. As a civilization, we've been here in society before. Major reset events. Okay? The civilization of Atlantis. I highly recommend Michael Tsarian's work, Billy Carson's work on Atlantis, on ancient civilizations. There's a reason why some of these people have gone missing. We're like a dog chasing our tail. We're at that same precipice that we were at once at again, and they want to enslave us. People need to just start speaking very matter-of-factly. We are in a population call and a population control agenda. They want to enslave us and have us in smart cities. I'll take dangerous freedom over their enslavement. Violence isn't the answer, but the use of defensive force should never be taken off the table to protect yourself. And the world is more science fiction than you would ever believe. We are more Lord of the Rings and Star Wars than you would ever know. We're definitely in the Matrix. Definitely in the fucking Matrix. And more and more cryptids are showing themselves. We have to ask questions. What's going on with that? It's all interconnected, man. All of it is. Hold on a second. So as I sit here and say all that, what is the underlying law of all things? The law is love. Love under will. Love under courage. When I nearly died in 2017, I've said this before and I'll say it again, the last thoughts that I had were only love and discernment can drive out hate and fear. And I regretted things I hadn't done. I regretted having so much petty arguments and ego-driven bullshit arguments with people. I regretted chasing my ego and chasing accomplishments. I was a human doing instead of a human being. But I have the ability to self-reflect and have some introspection and continue to improve in my life. This is what we all have to strive for. Because when we're striving for it, we won't tolerate others being asleep around us. We'll start to wake them up in our personal life. We'll start to have the courage to speak out with our own real names and our own real voices. We'll have the courage to stand next to the river of truth and tell the whole world, no, I'm right, you move, I'm not. You're not gaslighting me. Murdering an entire race of people is wrong. PSYOPs do in fact exist. False flag events do in fact happen and exist. Most conspiracies are not theories, they're actual conspiracies. That's when two or more people secretly conspire to get an outcome that they want for greed and agenda-driven purposes that is a detriment to others who wouldn't normally go along with it unless they were fooled, bamboozled, tricked, hoodwinked. And that's what everyone is who votes. Step into your sovereignty. You can do it without any type of violence. You can do it by simply knowing what your rights are and having courage. You could do it by saying, hey, I made a mistake here, I made a mistake there, and I'm fixing this and that. You can do it by looking at somebody you wronged and say, hey man, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that again. When you've done something that has hurt somebody and you can make some type of reparation for it because you didn't cross any lines that you can't cross back from. It was an argument. It was ego-driven. It was the Five of Wands in the tarot. That's not with swords. Those are with sticks. You have a rare opportunity to become a better human being by simply apologizing. And not so you're let off the hook, but really see what you may have done wrong. That takes looking in the fucking mirror. It's not comfortable. But it ain't that big of a deal, man. When you feel the release of something like that, you'll never realize how heavy something you're carrying is until you feel its release and you're like, God damn, I could have gotten rid of this a long time ago, couldn't I have? All right. So, that's all I really have to say about that. I didn't plan out this whole radio show real, super well. I want to say this, that a very dear loved one, Nana to my two daughters, passed. And it reminds me of, the love and compassion she had in her life and that she shared with others. It's a love that's going to be there forever. She transitioned into another frequency. She's no longer with us. And I'm sad. I cried a lot yesterday. But I realized I'm sad for the people who are sad. I'm not as sad for her because I know she wouldn't want me to be. And that's really what it's about. And it made me start thinking about all the needless casualties and deaths going on around this world and how we need to stop it. How we need to come together and say enough is enough. I'm going to have a moment of silence for her. Her name is Bobby. We love you, Bobby. You're missed already. We will see you again. That I know. So now I am back into a book that I started a couple weeks ago, and I wasn't going to get back into it, but I'm going to get back into it just for a few questions because I like putting myself on the spot and giving answers to these questions. This book is called If, Questions for the Soul. It's along the same lines of another book I have that says When God Winks at You. when you start noticing shamanic animal synchronicities, when you realize nature is alive and in the field talking to you because of alignment, because of safety, because of messages it has for you. You won't recognize it if you don't have a quiet enough mind to see it. When you start to see it, it's amazing. Okay, it's like the book The Alchemist. The omens haven't stopped. They've been going on for a straight 6 years for me. And they're probably continuing because I started getting out there and doing the work and speaking. Because it's what my dharma is. Okay, not many people answer the call. I'm answering the call, and I'm going to continue to answer the call. I've been blessed. And this is my way of showing my gratitude. So, continuing this read here, these are questions if. You can ask yourself this as we go move along here. If you had to select one thing you wish you hadn't witnessed or experienced in your life, what would you say it was? There's several things because of my line of work. I had quite a few things I witnessed. If I was going to narrow it down to one thing, it was seeing a father and son get gunned down in cold blood as a cop and happened to be on the scene afterwards. The blood on the ground, the chalk outlines, that bothered me. I had PTSD from that. And I didn't even know it was PTSD. And here's how you know something's PTSD. You start to fall asleep, and then all of a sudden you are jarred completely awake with that vision of what that is in your head. And then sometimes it may even take a while for you to talk about it. But yeah, it was kind of a rough one. There was too many of those to actually really mention, but that was probably the roughest. Let's see the next question. If you had to name the most difficult thing for you to talk about, what would it be? You don't have to talk about it, just name it. Oh boy. I would probably say it's a tie between unhealthy coping mechanisms that I one time had and a job that I one time did. And that's gotten easier and easier for me to talk about. I said the next thing would be having to view videos that I wish I wouldn't have seen of a woman being threatened by someone that I loved and cared about. That bothered me a lot more than maybe it should have, but it did. It bothered me. I'm a protector. This is what I've done my whole life. If you read my book, Rise from Darkness, Who Are They? It's not for sale on Amazon. You'll see the kind of childhood I had and why I turned into a protector. So I'll leave that alone. Wow, that's a serious question, man. Let me see. If you could have one experience before dying that you've never had, what would it be? Okay. To jump out of an airplane, but be guaranteed by creation that I would safely reach the ground and still be drawing breath. I think that would be something that would be amazing. It's like a roller coaster times 20. I once went parasailing, so you get the feeling of what it would be like to glide down. But to actually have that first few seconds of a free fall when you jump, oh my God. Yeah, that would probably be one of the things I would think of. If you were to name the person you've had a continuous psychological power struggle with, who would it be? This is a good question for a couple reasons. One, whoever that person is for you, it's a good indication of who you need to get out of your life, okay? For me, I would say it's nobody. I won't allow that to take place. And I mean, I've been like this most of my adult life. I won't allow that to take place indefinitely. Once it starts, I will extract myself from the situation. Even if it's that friend who always just wants to verbally spar you or one-up you, I stop. I withdraw. It's a ridiculous waste of energy. And believe me, I know how to waste energy. That's not one of the ways I want to do it. If you were to name a time when your body and mind were at odds with each other, when would it be? Why, that would be right now. I am a senior citizen as of today. And my body's halfway saying that, just halfway. I'm blessed. But my mind's like, nah, dude, you're 20. Yeah, that'd be today. Let me see. If you had to name your biggest contribution to helping mankind, what would it be? Oh, no, wait a minute. If you had to name your biggest contribution to helping mankind, what would you say? Man, there's so many things. But what I would say is God really exists. He's not the invisible man in the desert sky. You know, that guy with a beard in the desert sky. I would say that morals are objective. The true 7 deadly sins are don't murder, rape, assault, trespass, coerce, knowingly lie. And that the 7 deadly sins in the Bible are nothing more than control mechanisms and warnings against excess. When you really think about it. Again, if you go into straight cognizant dissonance before really looking at that, you have to ask yourself, how have you been programmed? If you find yourself being offended by somebody and shutting down, that's a thing to lean into. Because I know everyone here has had lust. I know everyone here has taken pride in their work or in the work of a loved one. I know everyone here has envied something from somebody and it made them do something to match that changed them in a positive way. I know everyone here has had a little bit of sloth at one time or another because we all need to rest. And even Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has a cheat day and eats 20 pancakes. So again, the 7 deadly sins that are in the Bible are warnings against excess. They're not really sins. Let me see. Where am I at? Well, if you were to describe your fantasy of a transcendental experience, what would it be like? I don't know. I think DMT or ayahuasca would be kind of cool to do. I just don't know if I'd be ready for that. I'm not into mind-altering things like that, but it'd probably be that. I've had some things explained to me. I wouldn't mind experimenting with that, but it's not something I'm really into. Okay, this is kind of a big one. I might end it at this one. I know I'll be ending the show about 5 minutes early or so or whatever, but if God were to appear briefly before you in any form you choose, what would it be? Oh, I'd want him to appear as Odin. Hand me Mjolnir. Watch me pick it up because I am indeed worthy. And then I'd go about helping bring world peace. And I promise to give the power back just after one weekend of showing off to my friends around a bonfire that, hey, I told you guys I was really Thor. I'll give it back after a weekend of showing off. After world peace has been instituted, of course. Yeah, that's kind of an ultimate type of fantasy, I guess. So I'll probably go to this book on and off. It's to ask questions and put myself on the spot. And it's training to a certain degree, but it's also to maybe spark some type of thought process and introspection within anybody listening. Things are coming up in the world that's going to scare people. The best way to be prepared is to go to the drugstore and the dollar store. Buy first aid kits and water and filtration systems and non-perishable foods. Little generators if you can. the compassion you show with the people that are directly around you is going to be what survival is about. They're counting on us to turn into animals and do their work for them. I say we don't do that, and we make them incur the negative consequential effects of their very dark desires and make them have to come do it. And we don't do it to each other. We show love, compassion, and we help one another in every way possible. And this is what humanity will do, because we are all anarchists at heart. We do voluntarily interact with one another for survival because we are a tribal species, and we understand that survival is predicated upon our ability to work and help one another, work with and help one another. So until next week, I'll probably have a different show next week. The stuff I talked about today was important. Ask yourself this: do you really care about the lies and contradictions that people point out, or are you more concerned with what is broken within people and why is it broken that allows them to so easily accept these lies? From the lay person all the way up to that person at the village council meeting, to the low-end order followers that are enforcing these immoral regulations and mandates that these people who are pieces of trash decide for us, when you can't stand them yourself either. I know. My prayers go out to you guys. You're going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place. Keep the oath, the part that says protect. Get rid of the serve. Serve nothing but truth and protect. That's what real men's jobs are. Let's do that. Anyways, everybody, nothing but love. Stay safe. Until next week. Peace.